Hey, everybody, how's it going? This is Seth Williams and Jaron Barnes with the REtipster Podcast, and we are super lucky. We are having an opportunity here today to talk with Brandon Turner, who is the host of the BiggerPockets podcast. And Brandon is also the author of the book on rental property investing, the book on investing in real estate with no and low money down, and a lot of other books. He's done a lot of stuff. I mean, if you haven't heard of Brandon, if you're not familiar with him, I don't know what rock you've been hiding under. He's a huge deal, huge influencer in the real estate space online. And this interview is actually going to be a little bit different than a lot of the interviews we do, because Brandon, he's one of these real estate influencers that Jaron and I have a ton of respect for. He's done an amazing job at building a following and a stellar online reputation. And we're both just really interested in learning about like how he did it, how he's been so successful. We want to pick his brain and figure out how he's been able to create so much value for so many people. So Brandon, welcome to the show, man.
Man, that was the nicest intro and a lot of lies in there. It was very, very nice intro. Thank you very much. I'm doing well. You know, you started with, hey, what's going on or something like that. And I really want to jump in and just answer your question. You know, people always say like, hey, what's up? Or, hey, what's going on? I always want to like answer the rhetorical questions, even though they're not meant to be.
When you hear enough of these intros, it's hard not to do that sometimes.
No, I know. I do it too all the time. I just, anyway, you know, I decided not to be rude on your show, and I decided to follow the rules. So, hello. Thank you for having me. What's going on, guys?
Man, for those that have been living under a rock, what's like the 30-second summary of like who you are, what you do, and where you come from?
All right. It was a cold day in 1985. Actually, it was July, so it was a hot day. And
when a man meets a woman.
Yeah, when a man loves a woman in Minnesota, then I do real estate. I talk about real estate online. I teach people about it. I make videos, and I buy real estate. I really enjoy buying rentals, and that's kind of what I do. I did a lot of flipping, not a lot. I'm not like Jay Scott or something cool like that. And I don't do a lot of land stuff, which I'd like to get into. And I wish I knew somebody who like knew land investing, but I'll figure that out eventually. And then
I know a guy. If you
do you? Okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay, good. You know, that's kind of what I do. And I mostly do fixer upper rental properties. So that's my gist.
That's awesome, man.
Sweet, man. Brandon,
Yeah.
I don't know if you were the first, maybe the second person ever to comment on the REtipster blog, like way back in 2012 when I first started it. I think I had mentioned, I don't know how or why you ever found it. Maybe you clicked through the forum or something like that. But I just remember being like, holy cow, somebody actually left a comment. And I didn't realize, you know, who you were or who you were going to become way back then. But
well, you know, I don't know how to say this, but I'm kind of a big deal. So.
Yeah, sort of.
Just kidding.
That's awesome.
Just kidding.
But
that's
but
an
no,
Anchorman line.
I mean, honestly,
Anyway.
like I think it kind of just speaks to who you are as a person. Like you notice people. Like you're not just some huge high authority figure, and there's all these little, you know, minions beneath you who are just trying to learn. It's like no, you actually interact and you care and. I've always been just super impressed, and I've admired that about you. So thank you for leaving that first comment. I probably wouldn't have kept going if it weren't for you.
It's all because of that comment. Yeah, the comment was probably like rude. It was probably like, dude, this isn't a very good post. You should probably just give up and quit and go back to McDonald's. I'm kind of rude when I write comments.
It was something like that.
Yeah, clearly.
You know, it's interesting on that note, like how I got connected to you guys too, is you guys wrote a comment on a blog post that I wrote way back in the day on RE Catalyst. Nobody knows what the heck that is, but I started a very, very small blog a long time ago. And then you guys commented on it, and then you guys were coming to the Bay Area to speak at Google, and I connected you with the BiggerPockets meetup crew.
Yeah, that's right. Man,
yeah.
we go
It's all about leaving comments on blogs, guys.
I know it is. If you want to be successful in life, yep.
Right comments.
Instagram. Yeah, exactly. That's going to be my new Instagram like quote card. That's my inspirational quote. The secret to success, blog comments.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, so I want to ask, like, I want to go back and ask you, instead of talking about your real estate success and all that stuff, if people want to learn about that stuff, they can check you out on the BiggerPockets podcast. But I want to go back to real estate in your 20s. And I want to go back
old school.
Yeah. And so here you are, you just got, if I remember correctly, you just got like your first rental property, and you some random guy at church was like, hey, do you want to buy my like 24 or 21 units or something? And had this crazy situation where you have all these rental properties, kind of twiddling your thumbs, so you start a blog. And how do you go from there to like getting on Josh's radar? So many people, you know, like they're looking for mentors, they're looking to get the attention of like successful people, and successful people are busy. So how did you do it?
Actually, I'm going to quick jump in there. For those who don't know, Real Estate in Your 20s is a blog that Brandon started years ago. I think it still exists, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it exists. It's limping along. I don't update it, but it's there.
And Josh, we're talking about Josh Dorkin, the founder and basically the founder of BiggerPockets.
The godfather of real estate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I know even back when I got into real estate blogging, I mean, BiggerPockets was just like, the authority then. It's the authority now for the most part. And I mean, he's like the guy that kind of started all of that. And Brandon somehow got on Josh's radar, and to the point where were you like his first employee of sorts, or how did that work?
The story goes, so I bought some small properties here and there, and then I bought my 24 unit because of the weird coincidence at church. That put me up at like 32, 33 units. And for those who know, like I kind of have like a minimum requirement. When I buy a property, I'm like, I want $100 in cash flow, which means profit, $100 per month per unit. That was always my metric. And that's after paying all the bills, all the utilities, all the vacancy, repairs, maintenance, everything that could possibly come up on a rental property. After it's all said and done, I want $100 per unit. So that pushed me to like 33 units. That was like $3,300 a month in income. And I was like, I'm retired. I can live on $3,300 a month. When you live in like Podunk, Washington, you can do that. And so I did that. I quit my job. I was working at that point at a bank. I quit, and I was like, all right, well, now what do I do? Because obviously, like, you can't live forever on $3,300 a month. And I needed to get more loans, and so I needed more income. And so I decided maybe I'd start a blog, be an entrepreneur. I started listening to Pat Flynn on the Smart Passive Income podcast back then. Yeah. I was also listening to like the real estate radio guys podcast back like before podcasting was podcasting. The real estate radio guys were out there doing their thing. And I thought, what they're doing, they're teaching this stuff. That sounds kind of fun. Maybe I'll do that. So I started the Real Estate in Your 20s. That led to guest writing for BiggerPockets. So this is where like a lot of people say you should never work for free, and you shouldn't ever, you value yourself and value your time. But like, I didn't have any value. Like I didn't do much or know much. So I just started writing for BiggerPockets, the blog, and my first posts were, I'm sure, horrible, but I just kept contributing content. And that got me on Josh's radar, which we then became, at some point, he sent me a friend request on Facebook. And this is before, my BiggerPockets was big back then, but we were at like, 100,000 members, something like that. Today we're at like 1.2 million or something like that. So it was much smaller. And we became Facebook friends, which led to him writing something about how he's looking for someone to just help edit blog posts. And I said, I'll do it. And so we started talking on Skype, and I started editing blog posts, which is weird because I don't know how to read or write very well. And
that's not true.
Somehow I didn't know how to, okay, I can, now I like to write, but I still don't know how to put together words. If I didn't have an editor, it'd be crazy. I don't know how I got the job editing blog posts, and I did it. And then that kind of morphed one thing to the next, which turned into the podcast, which turned into a good friendship with Josh and got me in there.
So I want to dive into kind of that mindset that you highlighted of, hey, right now, that kind of that humility of right now, I don't really have much value to bring to the table, so I'm willing to do free work and, and kind of do these things. I've actually found personally that that's pretty much without fail, as I'm thinking about it out loud, exactly how I've gotten on every single person's radar. I just added like every single mentor or high profile, quote unquote, person that has come into my life. How they came into my life was by figuring out a way to add an insane amount of value without asking anything in return. Yeah. And so I think that if for people who want to find a mentor, I was just on the millennial real estate podcast, and that's what I said was like, you really don't go around being like, hey, bro, will you be my mentor? Because that's stupid. That won't work. But if you go like, hey, I'm young, I'm dumb, and I really, really want to learn. What justifies you teaching me? Do you need me to clean toilets? Like, do you need me to go put up like boards on houses that need to be boarded up? What do you need me to do? I'll do it. And I think that is what's going to get you to getting on people's radar.
Yeah. My first real estate mentor, the guy I kind of learned a lot from, his name's Kyle. He was a local landlord. He was like my best friend's landlord, and he hired my best friend to go paint a house. And he offered my friend a few $100 to paint a house. And so my friend was doing it, but he couldn't finish it. So I came and helped him. I met this guy, and then we started talking about real estate. And I was just super excited and very interested in what he wanted, what he was doing, like just super interested. And so that then made me stand out because I was interested in his life. I wasn't asking for anything. I was just picking his, like, hey, how are you finding deals? I mean, what are you doing? Like, what makes a good deal to you? Like, asking questions that he then felt really cool answering, right? And then he asked me to paint a house. And so I painted a house for him for like $300. And then I painted another house for him. And I was 20, 22 at the time. I didn't know how to paint a house, but like I figured it out and probably did a horrible job, but it got done. And then he wanted me to do something else, like crawl under a house and insulate a house, which is like the worst job imaginable. Like, life doesn't get worse than being under a little crawl space, putting insulation up. But I did that. And made in fact, I've done that numerous times for people to build relationships because nobody likes that job. But like, if you're willing to get dirty and willing to do work for no or low pay, people respect that. So, yeah.
That's really interesting.
I'm a little curious about that. When you went out and started like offering your services for free, whatever those services were, did you sort of present it as though like, hey man, tell me what to do to help? Or were you like, hey, can I help you by doing this? Like, did you specifically find need? And like, basically, because I think in one light, you're sort of putting the work on them. Like, hey, you figure out something for me to do. Whereas the other way is like, hey, here's a solution to a problem you didn't even know you had. Let me do it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of that, of not saying, what can I do to help you? Because that makes, like, when people say that to me, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. What do I need? I don't know. And then I'm thinking about it, and I'm stressing and I'm getting all anxiety about it. And I'm like, well, I guess you could, take this to the cleaner for me. Or, like, I just feel weird, right? Yeah. But the other case is like, okay, so I got this buddy named Ryan Murdoch. He's a successful investor, but we become really good friends lately. And Ryan came out to Hawaii because I asked him to come help me. So I live in Maui now, or at least part of the time in Maui now. And I was just overwhelmed with stuff to do. And so I asked him to come out and just help me knock some stuff out. And he gets here and he immediately goes outside and starts cutting the grass. I never asked him to do it. And he immediately goes over and starts hauling out this stuff and cleaning the pool. And he calls a contractor to fix something else that we couldn't do. And I didn't ask him any of that stuff, right? He just saw that it needed to get done and took care of it. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of don't ask. I mean, you can ask, but it's better to find an opportunity to offer value, or offer suggestions, right? It's like, hey man, I can do whatever. I can go and put up signs. I can go out there and door knock for you. What would be the best of those? Here's the 3 things I'm good at. Or I can get on the phone and call people. Are you having tenant issues? I will collect, if you're looking to get friends with a landlord, no landlord likes talking to their tenant. No one does. So nobody's like, oh man, I'm so excited I get to call that deadbeat tenant today who owes me rent. So you're like, hey, can I just be your in-between tenants and between your tenants and you? That way you don't have to deal with them anymore. I'll take all the brunt of it. I'll call them. I'll deal with everything. I just want to learn how you do this stuff. And I don't know a single landlord that would be like, yeah, I really like doing that.
This is really interesting because I think this is the most practical conversation I've ever heard or been a part of seeking mentorship. This is really good stuff. Something though that I would add to this whole conversation is I think it's really good to have clear expectations and clear communication from the get-go. Recently I pursued, I started a mentorship relationship with, I hate that word. That's way too many syllables, but a mentorship with a guy named Perry Marshall. We're going to have him on the show here in December, I think.
I like Perry.
Yeah, he's really solid. But when I reached out to him, I intentionally said, look, I know you're super high profile. I know that you're super busy and you probably get asked this question hey, will you be my mentor? All the time. But with me, I know that Seth Godin says that mentorship is a one-sided relationship. You should never pursue mentorships. You should read the person's work. You should study what they do. But friendships are two-sided. Mentorships are one-sided. And so I told him that, and I'm like, look, if we do this, I need to know how I can bring value to you to justify the relationship. So from the get-go, I had the intent of like, yo, I want you to speak into my life and make me a better person. But what do I have to do to bring to the table to justify doing that? And it worked, you know? Yeah. So I think that it really clear, you know, having clear communication, clear boundaries, clear expectations, but having the heart of a servant is kind of the way to go. I'm really excited because most of the time it's like, find a mentor, whoop de whoop. Yeah, and now we actually have some practical stuff there.
Yeah. Well, and I love just to call it what you said. I love that you said, like, it's not like I try to just replace the word mentorship. And I think I even wrote this in the last book we published, was like, stop saying mentor and start saying friend, right? Like, don't say, hey, will you be my friend? But like, just build friendships. Like build friendships, right? Like that's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, that's not hard. I'm pretty good at, you know, having friends. You know, so how do you build a friendship? Oh, you get to know them. You know what they do. You like what they do. You talk with them. Hang out. You drink. You know, like whatever you got to do. Like that's what you do with friends. So
the first words out of my mouth shouldn't be, I want to intimately know you.
Yes. No, don't say that.
Okay.
Like I want to know you intimately. That's better.
So, Brandon, I know back in 2000, was it 13 when you started working for BiggerPockets?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That to me, just looking back on the whole timeline, like that was like a very definite milestone in terms of when I think BiggerPockets started to, I mean, it was already a pretty big presence to begin with, but like it really took off when you came on board. And I don't know what you did in there, like what specific things you implemented. Like I know when you joined, was soon after that was when the podcast started and just a lot of things started happening. And it'd be good to know, like, what is your creative process? Like, how did you, like, I guess, what did you do to bring to the table in terms of making that growth happen? And like, how do you figure out what does BiggerPockets need? Like, what do we need to do to serve our audience? How do we grow this thing?
All right. So BiggerPockets, was big. I mean, it was a big deal, but like I said, it's been, you know, it's 12 times bigger today than it was then. And I don't believe it was anything that I did I mean, I think it was things that I did, but I don't think it was me, if that makes sense. So it was more of the fact that Josh had somebody. And this actually relates perfectly to real estate. This will apply to anything that you're trying to grow a business, right? We all know what we should do in business most of the time. But entrepreneurs, people like Josh, or even myself, my own real estate, don't do the things we know we should do. But we're usually better at like figuring out what needs to be done. And so if we can get somebody else to do that work, like the actual, like the grind, those things actually get done, right? So like in my business, like I know there's so many things I should do in my real estate business and I just don't do them. Like I really know I should. So instead I just hire other people who that's their job, is to do those things. And then they actually get done. That's what Josh did, right? So Josh had all these things he knew he should be doing, but when you're a one-man operation, you can't do them. So all of a sudden it was like, hey, Brandon, I want you to do this and this and this and this. And so I started just doing those things, right? And then they got done. Right? Like we all know, like it's not about the goal, it's about the process. Generally, when you're trying to accomplish things, right? It's not about trying to, you know, get a six-pack. It's about diet and exercise. So we all know what to do. We don't always do it. So what Josh did is he's just like, okay, well, you know, here's what you're going to do. And so what we did is we just, there's an Elon Musk quote. I'm going to butcher it, but basically he just says, work really, really hard. If you're working 80 to 100 hours a week and everyone else is working 40, you're going to get 2 to 3 times as much done. And that's pretty much what we did. I mean, nobody likes that answer, right? Of like, you just got to work really, really hard. And I'm not saying we did everything right, but when we were working, Josh and I both were probably working 100 hours a week for the first 2 years. That's all we did was work from the time we woke up to the time we went to bed, because we loved it. And it didn't feel like work. We were just having a blast, building this cool thing.
So I'm going to give you a little pushback on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to pick, because so before I started hanging out with Perry, and he's like the guy that wrote the book on the 80-20, 80-20 sales and marketing. So he's like an 80-20 guy. And I was I actually use language like my operating system to life, like my mental operating system was very much Gary V, Grant Cardone, very much like, I am going to work harder than anybody else and just throw massive amounts of excess work at the thing, and then it'll figure itself out, right? But he's challenged me a lot in this area, because he actually said point blank, I actually wrote it down at a conference he was speaking at. He said, extra work alone won't solve the problem. Like excess work, just throwing work at something won't actually solve the problem. You need to know the leverage points that will actually yield the result that you need with a certain situation.
Yep.
And I've been struggling with this, like, because I've been teetering, like, I mean, Gary V even has like one of those quote cards that says, you know, hard work will always trump smart work. Smart work will never trump hard work. And I just don't think it's true. Like, to a certain extent, like when it comes to personal development or certain things, the leverage points have to, some of them are hard work for sure.
Yeah.
But I think identifying the key leverage points is what's going to, whether it's hard work or easy work, just actually hitting the right leverage points is what's going to get you the results that you need. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on there, because I know you've done a lot of, you know, in conversations we've had about funnels and about, you know, 80-20 and all that. Like, how do you balance that? Because yes, there's a place for hard work, for sure. There has to be, for at least, if anything else, personal development, maybe not financially or whatever, like getting in the grind makes you a better person. But what do you do with the fact that, like, sometimes, like, Grant Cardone, honestly, bro, is massively, as awesome as he is and as much respect as I have for the guy, he's massively wasteful. He's like, if I want to light a candle, do I bring a blowtorch? Like, the 10X rule says to bring a blowtorch. That's what the principle is. But the 80-20 says, no, just get a match. So yeah, I mean, it's a good question, right? So the hard versus smart work is an interesting debate and topic. My thinking is this. I said this in a video recently, and I thought it was pretty clever. Nobody achieved a 4-hour work week doing a 4-hour work week, right? So like it is possible, right? It is totally possible to do a 4-hour work week. If I wanted to right now, I could have a 4-hour work week. But nobody got there doing it. Like, I would even, and I could be totally wrong, and maybe I'm speaking for Perry, but like, I would even argue that Perry worked a whole lot more in the early the first 20, 30 years. He still works super hard.
He still works, yeah, right?
Yeah.
But I agree, work itself is not the answer, right? So, for example, like, I could go out there all day long and be doing real estate stuff all day long. But at the end of it, like, the core work for real estate is you got to get leads that come in. You got to analyze them and figure out what you can pay for them. You got to go after them. You got to pursue them. And then sometimes they work out. Like, that's the core of everybody's real estate business in some way, shape, or form. You have to have leads. You have to analyze them. You have to go after them. And then sometimes they work out, right? Like, I would argue that every single real estate investor on the planet follows the same 4-step process. Now, some people are spinning their wheels working on going to 18 different meetups during the month and reading and doing all the stuff that doesn't matter. Yeah, that work is mostly worthless. It might add something, but nothing changes the fact that, like, you have to spend time in the chair and you have to work long and you have to work hard, and it takes years. This is something I think that we gloss over oftentimes in the real estate space and in any business, right? Like, BiggerPockets is huge, but Josh, like, a lot of people think Josh, you know, it's kind of an overnight success, but even before I was on board at BP, Josh was working for 12 years in his basement on BP to get it to that 100,000 mark. Now we've been working 6 more years. Maybe it's a little less than that, maybe 10 and 6. I think we're going on 16 years here soon. Anyway, like, it's been around for 15, 16 years to get there. I mean, my real estate, I've been doing this for 12 years now, and I'm finally like, oh, I'm getting some good income off this rental property thing. Like, oh, I finally understand how to flip houses now without tearing my hair out. Like, it takes hard work and it takes a long time to figure that stuff out. Now, you can cut that short. The 80-20, I would say a lot of it is finding other people who have already figured out those things and then latching onto them versus you running around doing the 80% that just is worthless.
Something that comes to mind as I hear you talking, I think an important element of, like, when you say the words hard work, I think when I hear the words hard work, part of me associates that with misery. Like, it's really just miserable, hard, painstaking work. But when you're talking about hard work, you actually loved what you were doing. And I got to tell you, like, work that you love is a gift from God. Like, that's the way it was supposed to be. But most people never really find that. Instead, they, for example, back when you were working your job at your bank, you know, what if you just kept doing that? You know, what if you're still doing that today? You didn't really love it. You just kind of survived, just existed. Because that's honestly, like, as pathetic as that sounds, a lot of people do that, and they
Yeah,
never
most
find
people.
the stuff. Yeah, they never find the stuff that really plays their heartstrings. And I don't know, the fact that you found that, and you basically just wouldn't settle for work that was miserable. You kept pushing until you found that thing that really worked for you, and you really, dove into it. And look what it's turned into. So I think like working hard or working long like that, it's actually not a bad thing. I mean,
No.
I think it can certainly be overdone, but like it's not as bad as it sounds when you're basically like playing all day because you enjoy it so much, and you'd probably do it even if you didn't make money at it because it's so fun to you. So.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's and again, I don't want to be Gary V, Grant Cardone working 100 hours a week. I mean, I moved to Hawaii deliberately to slow down.
Yeah.
But my thinking to kind of summarize the thoughts is like, there is a time and place, and I think we all agree, like where you just have to sit down, put your butt in the chair, and work, or grab the hammer or whatever. Like there's a time. I mean, one of my favorite books of all time is called "So Good They Can't Ignore You" by Cal Newport. I think his name is Cal Newport, and he basically argues like instead of everyone trying to create these like 4-hour work week businesses, I think even like, sort of calls out Tim Ferriss's book. He's like, you're trying to find like clever ways to like get like a financial independence. He's like, why not instead just become so good at whatever you do that you're indispensable and you can negotiate whatever you want? And I love that concept, right? Like at your job, it's exactly what I did at BP, right? I became so good at what I did at BP that I could pack up my family, move to Hawaii, and like, what's Josh going to say about it? Like, I bring in a good amount of revenue for the company. I'm largely the face of it because I continually found ways to get better and better and better at what I did. I made myself indispensable, and therefore I could, demand more. Demand, that sounds bad, but I could get more income. The same thing with real estate. If you are the best person in your area at a certain thing, like finding nasty properties, or you're the best person at fixing up a house, like it's like you're gonna make it. You're gonna be just fine. But becoming the best, you don't get there by finding ways to like do the least amount of work possible, which is oftentimes what people want today. So anyway, hard work and smart work.
I think you hit it right there on the head, man. Like, I think at the end of the day, what it boils down to is both. What I think the approach should be is, if you identify the key leverage points, add a massive amount of effort to those leverage points, and then you're going to get a much higher return. What I think the issue is that people in the 4-hour work week, 80-20 camp, they're trying to be lazy. And I think that's like they're trying to find the very minimum that they can do to get them the most out of it, which is a good principle. But if you just as like a core value are a lazy person, it's being lazy is a character trait of not being successful. Successful people are not lazy. So if you can apply 80-20 effectively with a lot of hard work, then you're going to have the best of the best outcome, I think. So that was a really good conversation.
Well, thank you.
Talking about 80-20, since we're on the subject, I remember that when we used to work together at BiggerPockets, you were crazy busy. Like, you had a lot pulling on you. But I watched you through the years, and you somehow still managed to figure out time to develop your skills and get better. And like you said, you became the best at what you do, right? So you got really good at podcasting, at doing webinars, at writing books, at making videos, at blogging. How in the world did you figure out how to maintain like a 60, 80, 100-hour week schedule while still developing your skills? Because that, you can give me that, I think like my whole life will be changed for the next like 50 years.
My thinking is this, like I'm very big on like leverage points. Like you said, I love that you brought that up a minute ago, right? Like what are the few things that actually make a difference? And then just doing a lot of that and doing it really, really well. And so I think there was that. For example, the first year at BP, like when I was with Josh, we were like, well, what's going to help grow BiggerPockets? Well, it'd be nice if we ranked in Google for a lot of different stuff. We're like, how do we do that? We write a lot of guest posts. Okay. So I just wrote I think I published 100 guest posts in that first year, like on everybody on the internet's website. So my name is out there everywhere on all these websites, but more importantly, there were backlinks to BiggerPockets all over. And I just would like sit down and focus. Like it's really just about like focus, I guess. Like I just knock out a blog post. So I could write a blog post in 30 minutes because like I'd have no distractions and I just get really deep into that. ironically, there's another book by Cal Newport called Deep Work, which is also fantastic. And it's all about just like, we need time in today's world to like just focus and work. Cause like, I used to say that like 1 hour of my time was worth like 10 hours of other people's time, because like I'm so deliberate and focused when I get working. I mean, like my wife hates me for it sometimes because I'm like I don't listen to her. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm just like in the moment. I'm just writing as fast as I possibly can. And I usually have music blasting. So like I really have no distractions. Like, so I did a lot of that. And I also schedule everything. I mean, I put everything on my calendar that needs to be done. So including break time, time with family, time to learn. I'm going to take this Coursera course. Well, I've never done Coursera, but what's the other one?
Udemy.
Yeah, Udemy. That's the one. Yeah, I'm going to take that course then. So I did a lot of that. I just put everything on my calendar. I mean, like, I think people are oftentimes like, oh, I have no time for anything. But like, I mean, you guys know the math about there's like 168 hours in a week, and we sleep for 40 of it, 50 of it, 60 of it maybe. Like, like, there's a lot of time in the week. We might work for 40 and we might sleep for 50. That's 90 hours. Well, what's the other 78 hours? What are we doing during that time? Yeah. Right. And, I also double up a lot of things, right? So like I listen to a ton of audiobooks. I do that while working out or while driving, trying to get the most out of it. I took a personality test once, and that was called a maximizer, which means I try to get the most out of every single thing with the least amount of effort, which is kind of why I love 4-Hour Work Week and 80/20. I mean, 80/20 Sales and Marketing, Perry Marshall's book. I don't know if you know this, Jaron, but that book changed my life. That's one of my top 5 books of all time. I absolutely love that book. And I was so happy to get on our show. And then I heard that you were connecting with him. I was like he is like my hero. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if that answers the question, but I focus.
Yeah, that kind of answers the question, but I here's where very practically, I think it breaks down for me and probably for a lot of people in the audience. Like, so I also am very good at scheduling everything, but when it comes time for execution, I get a text message from my wife that says, hey, can you go buy water? I get all this stuff that's going on. You have a baby, like a little toddler going on. My wife's pregnant. We got a baby coming. Like, and so right now I have this massive lack of self-discipline, and I'm aware of it and I own it, but I don't know how to change it. So like, how do you, with all the stuff that you have to get done and do your deep work and do your hyper-focused time, like, how do you actually buckle down, shut off everything, and not just like, okay, it's execution time on this one topic, I'm just going to kill it. Like, how do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just finding time that I can get in that mode. Like, you have to be so proactive and intentional about it, right? Like deep work, to use the phrase from Cal Newport, like deep work doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention, right? So things like, I'm going to shut off my phone. I'm going to lock myself outside or in a room. I'm going to tell my wife. A big part of, if you work at home, people who work at home, whether it's with their real estate business on the side or their job or whatever, there's a constant battle between, are you working or are you not working? I mean, like, so then the spouse doesn't know, can they talk to you? Can they not talk to you? Can your kids come over? So being very clear with those lines makes that a whole lot easier. Now I don't feel guilty because my wife, like right now, she knows I'm in deep work mode right now, like on this podcast, right? So she's not texting me, asking me to do something because she knows this is deep work time. And then later it's not deep work time. And so that I think has helped a lot, but it's really just about being intentional about it. And then the other thing is, like I said earlier, like I don't have great, self-discipline in that either. So I hire other people now, like the same way Josh did for me. Now I do with other people. It's like, I know what needs to be done. So I hired other people very early on. Do you remember Dave Asaya? Dave edits the BiggerPockets podcast. I hired him 6 years ago to be my virtual assistant from the Philippines. And it was a few $100s a month. It wasn't much money at all. In the first year, like he hardly did anything because I didn't know what to have him do. But over time, I just was like, hey, can you just take care of this? And I'd document the entire process in a checklist. And then he would just do it. It was done. I'm like, wow, that was great. It actually got done. And then I'd do another thing. And so I would say people who are struggling with self-discipline and they know what needs to be done is maybe find somebody else to do it. And if you have to pay them to do it, or you have to, bribe them to do it, or you have to, guilt them into it.
Give them a back massage.
Yeah, exactly. Get other people to do those things. And then they'll actually get done. I mean, that's what a true manager does, is they inspire other people to do great work. And I'm trying to get better at that right now. It's not a skill I'm great at, but I'm working at it.
I know in that deep work mode, that's something that just frustrates the heck out of me sometimes. Like, because I'll have like a big list of things to do in a day, and I already know I can't get it all done. And then the problem is compounded when like all these things come up during the day that I wasn't planning on. So it's like, man, I really can't get anything done. So I basically just have a snippet that I can paste into any email or text message that just says, "You are dead to me," or "You don't matter anymore." And I just send that to people.
That's what I do too.
I mean, close friends, my spouse, I mean, anybody.
Dude, I totally thought you were serious for a minute. And I was like, wait a minute, what? What? This is very out of character for you, bro. What's happening?
Jaron apparently does not know me well enough yet.
Yeah. He hasn't gotten the "you're dead to me" email yet.
Yeah.
That'll be there later. Yeah.
Dude,
hey, Brandon, I know you have had a chance to talk with a lot of influencers on the BP podcast, and probably just like, I'm sure you probably have them on speed dial on your phone because you're close friends with them all now.
Not quite.
I would like to know, of all the people that, books you've read, people you've met, is there a single person who's been most impactful on the development of how you personally approach your business?
So I would say a few that stand out. I would say Hal Elrod, who wrote The Miracle Morning. I'm not perfect with the Miracle Morning world of getting up super early and knocking things out. But really, for those who have not read The Miracle Morning, it's basically a book about being intentional about the first 30 to 60 minutes of your day. That word intentional is the word of the year for me. Everything I do in my life comes down to intention. In fact, we're coming out with a journal at BiggerPockets. You guys are the first to, I guess we did announce it the other day. Anyway, we're coming out with a journal at BiggerPockets called 90 Days of Intention. Because I'm just so what if people knew what they wanted and then went after it with all of their heart? What amazing things could we do in life if we just defined what we wanted and went after it? And when you shrink the time period from someday to 90 days, I do a webinar every quarter or so on BiggerPockets called the 90-Day Challenge. I'm going off tangent here, but I challenge people, hey, let's buy a property in 90 days. Instead of saying someday, you can find and close and buy a property in 90 days, whether you're a flipper, rental, wholesaler, or whatever. Why not do it? And I've been doing this now for a year now, and every quarter I try to do it, and I'm just constantly getting my inbox emails from people saying I did it. I went and knocked it out. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but what was your question? Oh yeah, people. Hal Elrod, intentionality. So that was huge for that. Hal said something we talked about it on the podcast, but I read it in one of his books. He said, every result you desire is preceded by a process needed to achieve it, right? So if you want a six-pack, diet and exercise, right? Every desire you want is preceded by a process. He says, when you define your process and then commit to it for an extended period of time, the results take care of themselves. And I love that methodology. That changed my life when I read that. So that was huge for me. Perry Marshall was huge for me. Just, being able to talk to him. His book was, the thing that just changed a lot. What I really, really love is the interviews that we do with people. And there's been a lot of them where it's like, hey, I'm brand new and now I've done 10 deals in the past year, because it really you just see that spirit and that spark that just wow, I want to feel that again with my real estate, and I get all pumped up again. I want to go out and buy another deal. So I like talking to people that are fairly new that have just really been crushing it lately. So I don't know, those are a few of them that stand out. Obviously David Green, he's now the new host of the podcast. David Green was a big impact because we became really, really close friends after him coming on the show. So that obviously was a big impact.
That's awesome, man. Those are some great resources. We can list all that stuff out in the show notes.
You better.
Yeah, I will.
All right, man. So I know we're wrapping up here, but so you are kind of the inventor of the BRRRR strategy and the stack model. And, obviously, just for our listeners who might not know what that is, you could give an intro, just a basic overview. That'd be great. But Here's really where my question is. Why is it that you are such a proponent of, multifamily apartment buildings, whether it's a 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit, or a 10-unit, why not storage units or some other form of cash flow? Why that specific asset class?
Sure. So it kind of comes back to, okay, so there's 4 things I love about rental properties. I call these the 4 wealth generators of rentals, of real estate. There's cash flow, means extra money in your pocket, make it rain every month. That's awesome. There's appreciation. Property values tend to go up in value over time. We love appreciation. They don't always, right? But over time, on average, things go up in value. Then there's the loan getting paid down. So over time, loans go down because you're paying them off. And then the 4th one is the tax benefits. When you own property, you get tax benefits. The reason I love rentals in general is because you really hit all 4. The reason I love BRRRR is because you which I'll explain in a second, is you put those 4 on steroids. That's really why I focus on that, is because you get all 4 of those. So for example, let me explain what BRRRR is, and I'll give an example of how this works. So BRRRR it stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. It basically means you buy a fixer-upper, like a nasty property, and then you fix it up just like you're going to flip it. But instead of selling it, you then rent it out. You put some nice tenants in. And the beauty is now you have a nice fixed up property that has lower expenses because everything's already been fixed. You've already put in new everything. So it's a nice property, which nice properties attract nice tenants. Nasty properties attract nasty tenants, right? That's one of my kind of mottos in life. So you want to have nice property. Now it's all fixed up. So you have lower expenses. You've also increased the value because you bought it, you fixed it up, and now it's worth way more money than you paid for it. And you have some equity in there, which is great. The properties, hopefully you bought in a good area. You typically want to BRRRR in a good area. So it's going to go up in value over time. You get the tax benefits of owning it. You get all those fun tax benefits. And right now, there are so many good tax benefits. And then you, instead of selling it, you go refinance it. Now we could go spend a lot of time on that, but basically you're trying to use short-term money to buy it, like a hard money loan to buy it. Then you refinance it into a long-term loan, like a typical boring bank loan, because most banks won't give you a loan on nasty properties. So it's kind of a way around that. The beauty of that is you can do it, if you do it right, you can do it with no money out of pocket. If you can get a big enough loan for the short-term money in the beginning, and then if you have enough equity to refinance later. I know that sounds pretty confusing and complicated. Can I give a resource? It's a free one that people can learn more about. All right, just BiggerPockets.com/BRRRR, B and then 4 R's. It's just like a free ebook. There's no opt-in, nothing. It's just like a PDF. But it just walks through what the BRRRR is in case anybody's listening going, I have no idea what that bearded guy just said. That's what I mean. Anyway, so I love the BRRRR strategy because of this. And I like to say that, I coined the term BRRRR, but people have been doing BRRRR investing forever. This is a very common technique, especially in the multifamily space, which brings me to why I like multifamily. I like multifamily personally because I chose it. Now, that sounds funny, right? But it's the only reason I like it is because I chose it. Because I chose one thing to focus on. Now, yes, it has all those 4 wealth generators, but I know house flippers that are making more money than I am. I know land investors that are making more money than I am. I actually recently got into a mobile home park, and I love that. That's a fun niche I'm kind of exploring and getting into. It doesn't really matter. I can find millionaires in every single niche and every strategy of real estate across the country. I can find people that have done this. So the most important thing is just to pick something and do it. I picked small multifamily properties when I got started because I really liked it and it worked well. And so I just did it. But everything kind of works, not necessarily in every location. I doubt you're going to buy cheap, fixer-upper duplexes in downtown San Francisco, but there's something that works there. Anyway. But yeah, I like to put names to things because I'm like a marketer, right? So it's not just the reposition in a multifamily building. It's the BRRRR strategy. And it's not buy a duplex, live in one unit. It's house hacking. And then the stack is just the way I look at growing real estate. I can go there if you want, but
yeah. Or if just for the sake of time, if you want to just drop a link for the show notes, that'd be great.
Sure. I had actually if you want to know more about the stack, just go to YouTube and type in the stack BiggerPockets or the stack Brandon Turner. You'll find an article. It basically is a way of exponentially growing your portfolio, and it makes it for newbies much easier to comprehend. How can I obtain financial freedom fast?
Yeah, I really love that you said that, man, because that's what my hunch was, that you just kind of picked it and just stuck with it, because that's really kind of what you have. There's so much opportunity in real estate. There's so many things that you can do. At the end of the day, you kind of just have to you know what? Yeah. That's what I'm going to put put my stake right here, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, so. I use this analogy a lot. I'm going to make a video for BP here someday soon. But basically, imagine you have a bunch of Jenga pieces in front of you, right? Like hundreds of Jenga pieces, little wood blocks. And you're building these little towers. And you build one tower up a couple inches. And let's say getting it to 5 feet high is financial freedom, right? So you start building a little tower over here. And like, then you see that, oh, you know, Jaren's building a tower over that looks different. Like, so I'm going to go build that tower. I start building that tower a couple inches high. Then I go over and build another tower over here. And then this tower. And pretty soon I got like 8 towers. And now I'm only adding 1 block to each tower a little bit at a time. And I'm constantly building new towers. But what happens is I never get that tower to full height. I never achieve the freedom I'm looking for because my whole life is just working hard, building towers. Where if all I did was focus on one tower, it'd be a lot different. So
I've always thought that and agreed with that. Just the whole idea of focus on one thing and put all your effort behind that. At the same time, though, like diversification for me is pretty important, just in terms of like creating multiple sources of income that come from different unrelated places. So like you can't really just do one or the other. You sort of have to toe the line a little bit. At least that's what I choose to do. And Brandon,
the difference though is quitting one and doing another, right? Like I really want to do rental property. So I learn all this stuff. I gain all this knowledge and experience. And then it's like, oh man, flipping sounds more fun. And then I go over to flip houses. Then I'm flipping. I don't really buy my first deal. Maybe I buy one. And then, oh man, wholesaling sounds so fun. That I think is the difference, right? It's quitting one. It's like building a tower and stopping. But yeah, I have like, I don't know, probably 10 different sources of income right now. And I'm building all of them.
Yeah. Is there a point at which like you've done enough with source of income number one? It's like, okay, this is solid. I've figured this out. It's producing income. Now I can switch over and do something else. Like, do you wait till a certain point to do that? Or do you just like from day one, always start working on other things?
I have an analogy for this too. So I believe you need to work hard at one until you can, you ever seen those guys who spin plates? Like they have a long stick, like an 8-foot long stick. They have a plate on top of it. They spin it really fast. And then the whole thing just kind of stands by itself because it's just like hold in place by spinning. And then they can go do another one. And pretty soon they have like 10 plates on sticks that are spinning. Really? Mm-hmm. It's cool, right? But like you have to get that plate spinning before you can let go of it. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going to build something, I think you have to work at it. Personally, I think you work at it until it's spinning. In other words, until you can take a break, step back and go do something else for a little bit. And then come back over, spin it again, like do another step, right? So it's okay to do multiple things, but you got to take that spin, let it go a little bit longer, build up some momentum, and then move on.
As somebody who still cannot spin a basketball on my finger, that's incredibly discouraging to hear. I don't know how I'm ever going to do that.
I know we have to jump off here, man, but you just explained a phenomenon that I've been looking at and trying to figure out for a really long time. I have a friend who spends half the year traveling the world as like literally a nomad. Like that's what he does. And he has like 3 multi-million-dollar businesses. And how he did it was exactly what you said. He would go in and he would just literally tunnel vision. He doesn't know anything else except the one thing that he's focusing on. And he builds this business until it's actually like set on autopilot. And then he goes and starts another one. And then he goes and starts another one. And then he outsources it all so that he can go live on the beach somewhere. What you just said is like, I hope the audience really pays attention because I think that even in my own personal life is like going to answer some issues because if I can hone in, push hard until there's actual momentum built and then set it on autopilot because the momentum's already there and then go get another spinning plate, that will really solve a lot of problems. So
there you go.
2 thumbs way up.
You also have to define what autopilot is though. Because I mean, having a business that requires truly nothing from you, I don't think exists, but like there has to be a level of acceptability, you know?
Yep. Right.
Yeah, I call it the scale of passivity. Like there's certain things that are passive, but they're not really passive. Like I spin my rental property business just runs, but every week or 2, I have to go in there and spin the plate a little more, just get it going again. And so I can back off again. So it's like passive, but you always have to spin your plates. If not, it'll fail. You can't leave your business entirely.
Brandon, the king of analogies.
The king of that. Yeah.
That should be a new book title.
Yeah. That's what I make fun of David Green, the other host of the podcast. He's like, he's the analogy. I don't know. He's the analogy king. I'm like the queen.
Honestly, like that seriously is helpful though. Like I think it helps me understand and see what you're saying a lot better to hear those kinds of analogies. So thanks for sharing that.
I like analogies. They're fun.
Cool, man. Well, hey, Brandon, it's about time to wrap this up. But again, thank you so much for taking your time to chat with us. It's always good to talk to you. If people want to learn more about you, is there any place they should go and check that out?
I'm like a 13-year-old girl on Instagram, so I'm obsessed with Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, follow me on Instagram.
All the
Beardy
girl
Brandon.
analogies. I don't know what to say to this. Like, you're the queen of like analogies. You're the girl of Instagram. I'm like, okay,
I live in a house of women now. I got a little girl. In fact, yesterday I went and played princess. Like I put up a little princess bed for my daughter, and we played princess toys.
dude, you should start doing the flowers on your beard. That's a thing.
I
on
might.
Instagram.
Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, at Beardy Brandon on Instagram. Beardy Brandon. Beard with a Y.
Yeah. And Brandon, he does have an awesome Instagram presence. Like every time I see a new post for him, I squeal with delight. It's really exciting to see what he's got going on.
Squeal like a 13-year-old girl.
Man, this episode's getting weird. I'm gonna see you guys later.
We both have daughters. What can you say?
Yeah, we're princesses.
Cool, man. Well, thanks again, Brandon. I appreciate it very much. For the listeners out there, if you want to check out the show notes, we listed off tons of different books and people on the websites. Check it out, retipster.com/31. And that's where you can find all that. Brandon, again, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you and everything you do. And hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
All right. See you, man.